Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, it's another great day. It's going to be another great day. And what's coming for Bitcoin will shock you, just like it has been for, I don't know, this last week. It has been shocking. And more shocking news is coming. So, let's talk about what's going on in the world today and what to expect. Let's do it. Welcome, guys. Oh, Bitcoin is rising up once again. We're at 91.5. Are we going to touch 93 again? You know, it's so funny how we get used to a certain level. We breached 90,000 yesterday. We went up to 93, and then by nighttime we were down to about 90, and it seemed like, oh, the party's over or something. No, we're above freaking $90,000. We're at 91.5, and you know, we're only 1,000 points away from again breaking that high, and we're only 8,500 points away from freaking six figures, from $100,000. That's just crazy. That's crazy. And we're only halfway through this month. And you know what? That number is coming very, very, very fast. All right. So moving forward today, stocks are opening up. Markets are opening up a little in green. There was big profit taking yesterday, surprisingly, with Microstrategy and Coinbase. But things are back on track again. MicroStrategy's up 4%. Yesterday, it went down like a good 7%. So it has to go up quite a lot to make up for it. But you know what? Profit taking is okay, considering that in a month. I would say a little profit taking is perfectly okay. I mean, it went from $194 to $342 in a freaking month. You do the math. That's almost 100% in a single month. That's absolutely crazy. And Coinbase also took a big breather, but still, in a single month, not too shabby either. Going from $196 to $290. Not as good as MicroStrategy, but still, pretty darn good. So a little profit taking, that's okay. Hey, we're coming up to 92,000 again. Things are going nuts. And Pepe is still doing very well right now. Here's the thing. Here's why my thumbnail shows a Bitcoin on top of gold. Trump victory drives gold to a 2-month low as investors pile into equities and cryptocurrencies. You know why investors normally go into gold? When there's fear in the markets. When they think that equities and crypto will do bad. They want to preserve their money. Gold, if you think about it, is stable coin. It's a stable coin for the masses, right? That's why you buy gold. You don't really buy gold for gains, for appreciation. Gold, in fact, is actually a horrible hedge against inflation. Gold is a stable coin. Right? So why would you buy a stable coin? You want to buy commodities or investments that will appreciate and hedge against inflation, because that's how you get the gains. That's why we're in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. That's why things have exploded. Just the gains that we've had in the last 3 months, gold hasn't experienced in 10 years. Right? That's the difference. That's why people are coming in. Right? So that's the big difference. And now that is why BlackRock's iShares is bigger than its gold counterpart. Within 9 freaking months, it has become bigger, which is crazy if you think about it. And the inflows keep on coming in. They will not stop. And this is why Bitcoin continues to get bigger and stronger, and why everyone needs to load up. Because once we hit 6 figures and go beyond, we may never see 5 figures again. After this cycle, I'm not so sure we're going to have a crypto winter. All previous cycles, as much as people hate it, going through a crypto winter, it was a really good way for people to actually accumulate once again, right? You have a reset, you could buy cheap Bitcoin once again, but seeing how high Bitcoin is now and how much higher it will be at by the end of this cycle, you kind of wish it could go down 80% again so that we can grab some more cheap Bitcoin, right? But if it doesn't, because of a super cycle and because of these ETFs, or because countries now FOMO into it because it becomes a strategic reserve, man, it's going to be really tough. This may be the last opportunity to grab some cheap Bitcoin, even though it's not cheap, but it's going to be cheaper compared to the future. Because, man, these ETFs, they just will not stop. Hundreds of millions every single day. Yesterday was actually a tame day, 510 million. That's considered a tame day. And as we move forward, we're going to see some plus 1 billion inflows. And it's just not going to stop. $5 billion of inflow in less than a week, in just 6 days. There's not enough Bitcoin to go around. That's the thing. Most people still don't understand that concept. Unlike stocks, unlike gold, unlike anything that's out there, especially fiat that could be printed anytime, you don't even need to print it. You know, the Treasury Department could just punch more zeros into their computer, and, you know, magically there's more money at the banks. Or Federal Reserve does that, and then the Treasury could print it. You know, you can't do that with Bitcoin. Coinbase can't magically just type more numbers into their computer and then distribute out more Bitcoin to the ETFs. That's not how it works. You can't do that. There's only so much that's sitting out there on the blockchain that you can send. You can't create more Bitcoin out of nothing. So people just don't understand that. It's unlike anything else out there, right? And that's why everyone wants a piece right now. Institutions are leading the way. This is the only cycle where institutions are mass FOMOing. Okay? We have never seen this before. Some could argue this is good. Some could argue this is bad. Institutions FOMOing definitely means the maturity is here. Maturity in this space. It's not everyone. It's just a select few, but there's more. The fact that we have ETFs already shows that there is adoption. But it's just the beginning. However, some could argue this is bad because now there's less of it for retail investors because we have so much being eaten up by the institutions, right? So it's good and it's bad, but one thing's for certain. A lot of it is being taken up by these institutions, and I don't think they're going to stop. And if they keep on accumulating, again, this very notion of a super cycle that have always been speculated upon, we've always dreamt of it, like, oh, how awesome it would be to have these super cycles where we just keep on going up forever. That may actually happen this time around. But, you know, be careful what you wish for, because as good as that may sound, that we have these super cycles and Bitcoin will just go up forever, you just lose your opportunity to buy cheap Bitcoin. So whatever you have now basically is what you have forever. You're not gonna be able to buy a significant amount of Bitcoin going forward as it gets more and more expensive because more and more is being taken out of supply, which is kind of scary if you think about it. Even for me, I'm like, man, I want some cheap Bitcoin. And that's why, even Bernstein recently said, hey, just buy everything you can. We're going in a full bull market. Buy everything you can, because when the FOMO hits, everything's just going to start skyrocketing to the moon, and it's going to get quite crazy. So yeah, that's going to come. That's definitely going to come. Now, here's something interesting, and this may be shocking for some of you guys. I don't know if you guys been in the space. It may not be shocking, but for some of you guys, maybe. There has always been this rule for investors, which is really kind of silly if you think about it. The 60-40 rule for a portfolio. 60% in equities, which means stocks, and 40% in bonds. I've never understood the concept of buying bonds. It's like buying stable coins. They just don't move. You're buying bonds that pays out 4% yearly over a course of 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. It makes no sense to me, okay? But traditionally speaking, that's how people did it, to preserve their wealth. But most people that's doing this have no wealth, so they're just like preserving nothing. They're not gaining anything from their investments. But what if you replaced that 40% of bonds with Bitcoin? A little bit of it, or all of it. This is showing what if you just replaced that 40% with 1% Bitcoin, 2%, 3%, 5%, and the one that's on the very top is if you replace 40% with just 10% Bitcoin and 30% bonds. You could see the difference in terms of your gains, okay, if you started in 2015. That's just 10%, guys, okay? Rather than 40% in bonds, you do 30% in bonds, you just put 10% in Bitcoin. Now, what if you put 40% in Bitcoin? That's what it looks like, right? So this is why it's so silly. This is why it's so silly. Even if you replace the 40% in bonds and gold, and then you compare it to Bitcoin, it would still look the same. There's nothing that outperforms Bitcoin. The argument that somehow Bitcoin is not a good hedge against inflation is out the window. Nothing out there is a better investment and better hedge against inflation than Bitcoin, because nothing out appreciates it. Nothing. Over a course of 5 years or 10 years, it's ridiculous. The gap widens so much, it's utterly ridiculous to compare to anything else out there, especially to traditional assets like gold, for example, or bonds. This is why you just load up on Bitcoin. It's the greatest way for someone to gain wealth. It's that simple. It's not magic. You just load up on Bitcoin. This is why I don't understand why so many do not still understand this concept. Anyways, Hedda Van Eck says Bitcoin go head to 180,000 this cycle. Let's listen in on this. I didn't even listen to this, but I'm sure it's good.
The price of Bitcoin briefly hitting the $93,000 level before pulling back. It's up more than 150% this year. Let's talk about the crypto market and bring in Matthew Siegel, head of digital assets research at Van Eck. I thought Matt, that it was definitely long in the tooth, this sort of mania. You say there's, at least for your work, that you don't necessarily see that yet in terms of whether it's totally overdone?
Joe, we think it's just getting started. As we expected, Bitcoin saw this high volatility pump after the election. We're now in blue sky territory, no technical resistance, and we think we're likely to make repeated all-time highs over the next 2 quarters. The same pattern played out 4 years ago. Between the election and the end of the year in 2020, Bitcoin doubled. There were about 10% corrections, so it's not going to be a straight line, but we're up 30% so far, and a number of indicators that we track are still flashing green for this rally to continue. This is a state change in terms of government support. Look at this cabinet: the VP, Attorney General, Director of Defense, National Security Advisor, possibly even the Secretary of Treasury being pro-Bitcoin. That's not including Elon and Vivek. So the number of calls that I'm getting inbound from investment advisors who are at 0 and looking to get to 1%, or at 1% and looking to get to 3%, these calls are starting to accelerate, and we think the flows are going to follow. So our price target for this cycle is 180K. We think we can reach that next year. That would be 1,000% return from the bottom to the peak this cycle. That's still the smallest Bitcoin cycle by far.
And double from here, basically. You look.
Did you listen to everything he said? That's like so bullish. That's so bullish. The technicals support it. The new administration support it. The patterns compared to 2020 support it. You know, doubling from election to the end of the year, right? That would mean we would go up to about 120 or 140,000 by the end of the year. That's super bullish. I don't know what more you can say. That's about as bullish as you can get with analysis. I'm wondering what more he can say. I don't know. Let's just listen.
Look at weird things, Matthew. Like, so you Google search for Bitcoin is one of the things. So you would expect, if we were getting toppy, you would expect that was off the charts, and it's not yet.
Google searches are nowhere near where they were 4 years ago. Coinbase's rank in the Apple and Android app stores, nowhere near where it was 4 years ago. Look at the internals of the derivative markets, what it costs for funding to put on Bitcoin futures trades. You know, it's up, but once we get into this price discovery mode, it tends to stay elevated for quite some time.
What if Gensler's gone, as Trump said on day one, or someone said on day one? I mean, I could imagine that. I don't know when, though, it actually becomes a sell on the news, because I don't know. Maybe I'm just think that it's more of a mania move now than it actually is. But it just seems like it's been a heck of a move. Think it'll move when Gensler's gone, if he's gone?
Yeah, I think, you know, maybe the disappointment phase will set in 1 to 2 quarters after the inauguration. Okay. There's really 4 major impacts here. Okay. You know, one is just the positive impact on dynamism when you stop suing people for breaking rules that have never been written down. That's a long way of saying that regulation by enforcement is going to end. We're already seeing the economic impact of that. There are crypto projects that are announcing that they're going to hold conferences in the U.S. for the first time ever, open offices in the U.S. and New York. It's just great for U.S. jobs and GDP, right? We've got the Bitcoin reserve that would legitimize this asset as a reserve asset, pave the way for it to be used as a global settlement currency, as the BRICS countries have been doing. You know, President Trump recognizes the synergies between Bitcoin and AI. They are 2 sides of the same coin. If you want to have cheap AI, you're going to want to combine it with Bitcoin mining to take advantage of that cheap power.
They're telling me we got, I don't know, Disney, Bitcoin. They're both important, obviously, but we got to get the... Google
searches not all-time high yet. Coinbase not on the top of the iOS App Store yet, which are top indicators, nowhere near there. And then what else has he said? AI and blockchain and everything else. It's about as bullish as you can get. Okay. Super, super bullish. Everything I've been covering, basically. Everything I've been covering over the course of this year. And you heard it from this guy. He's the head of digital of an EC, okay? Not just a guy on YouTube, not just some random analyst on Twitter. I'm assuming they're paying this guy a whole bunch of money because he's really smart, and maybe secretly he's actually watching me before he does these interviews. All right. What else is there? Let's see. Saylor may be planning a 100K party just like I am. So he put this out there. He may be stealing my thunder, but I have a feeling if he throws a 100K party, it may be better than what I'm throwing. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe. I'm still planning on something huge. I came up with this idea to reach out to Crypto.com and ask them if I could do something in their glorious LA stadium. I don't know if I can pull that off, but, you know, maybe not. That would be absolutely insane if I could pull that off. But if not, I'll still stick with Vegas. I don't know what Saylor has planned, though. I have no idea. No idea there. What else is there? Okay, moving upwards. So 94.95. I mentioned this yesterday. You know, we got stuck at 93K, 94.95. We had a lot of liquidations leading up to 95. And then afterwards, there was really nothing, right? But we weren't able to get up there. So I think that's going to be like a really hard zone to break. And according to Spot, that's also a key zone to break. So it's like, you know, like, it's just a matter of time. We're going to get up there. We're going to liquidate a whole bunch of shorts. And then we're going to break through. And once we do, we're going to be 100 figures. And then, I mean, 6 figures. Once we're above there, it's just all price discovery. It's just like open land. And Bitcoin's just going to go wherever it goes. And I'm actually, like I've been saying at the beginning, I'm actually hoping, I'm secretly hoping that we don't go too fast, too crazy. Because then our chance of accumulation is actually, it's going to get less and less. It's just so hard to accumulate when Bitcoin is above $100,000. It's already hard, but like seriously, to be able to pull out $100,000 to buy Bitcoin is going to be absolutely insane. It's just, I can't even fathom that right now. I really can't. I have a hard time fathoming where we are right now. Anyways, last few points. You know, obviously we're following the same patterns that we have before, right? But man, when you zoom out, you realize that we've had some big dips. We had some monstrous dips. We had some very long crypto winters, right? But all that, you know, all that kind of just like came and went, right? Like it just like come and go. It really, you know, now that we've lived through it, it's like, it's just in the past. It's like really fast. I don't even remember any of those dips anymore. I kind of do, but like not the specific ones. Nothing like that. And now see where Bitcoin is. Back in the day, we get panicked over like, you know, like a few hundred points or a few thousand points. And back then, Bitcoin was below 10,000 or below 20,000 or something like that. And people were panicking. Now we're like 90,000 and you know, it's like, you know, it seems so silly that people were panicking when Bitcoin was at like 3,000 or 5,000, right? It's just like so silly now. In reflection, it's just so stupid to be panicking when we fell below 10,000. In 2020, when we fell below 10,000, we went to $4,000. How many of you guys now would have just sold your house and sold everything and just went all in on Bitcoin? Had you known, we would be at 90,000 plus in 4 years, right? In hindsight, of course, it's always 2020, but some of us knew, but of course, none of us was that irresponsible to just go all in. But still, it's just so stupid if you think about to not take advantage of those dips and situations. Even last year, when Bitcoin was still in the 20s, we were in the 20s for the entire freaking year before we started moving. That was just 1 year ago. Not even 4 years. 1 year ago, we were in our 20s. We fell down to 15,000 last year. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Okay, but you know what? For retail investors, I know a lot of people are thinking like, it's too late for Bitcoin. I'm just going to go all in on memes. That's how I'm going to make my money. And for some, it may work, but you know what? You got to stick with Bitcoin still because you just don't know. With some of these memes, they are doing very well, right? Like WIF, like Pepe did crazy yesterday. WIF did really well. Bonk started going up. A lot of the Sol memes started pumping to the moon. And I think this cycle, they will continue to pump, and there will be more that will pump to the moon. But you got to have some Bitcoin. You do. Because there'll be times where memes don't pump. I think a lot of the memes actually came down today, retraced a lot today because, you know, profit taking and whatever, right? So you got to still have some Bitcoin, but a lot of people are jumping into the memes because they see as a way for them to kind of like catch up, right? So there you go. What else? I guess that's it. I saw this. Sui is also coming out their name service. So a lot of chains. Solana has one. I forgot who else has one. Probably Tron has one. And then Ethereum has one. You know, now Sui has one. This is great. And then DeFi Technologies aims to replicate Microstrategy Success with Core strategy launch with just Sol. Right? I'm pretty sure this is just with Sol or no? No, this is with Bitcoin too. Interesting. There was a company I thought DeFi Technology also had a Solana one, but I guess this is for Bitcoin too. So they're going to go all in on Bitcoin, it looks like. Interesting. All right, that's it, guys. Let's do some Q&A. Well, looks like we retraced down a little bit. Market turned red. MicroStrategy and Coinbase turned a little red. Bitcoin retraced a little bit. I'm still planning a 100K party. It's a little tricky is I have had parties before where a lot of people said, yes, I'm going to attend, and then like very few people attended. But it's a little bit different now because a lot more people, a lot more rich now. So the profit-taking messes with human emotion. Anyone that I see in the chat that says it's dumping will be permanently banned. And I'm not joking about it. Like, anyone that is that much of a lettuce hand is going to get banned from this channel. Hi, George. If you have 100K, what single coin would you buy in the moment for potential 10x? I don't know. I wouldn't, if I had 100K, I wouldn't just buy one coin. That's the reality. You have too much to risk if you're just buying one coin. I would just say Bitcoin. What meme has the most upside potential? Well, you know, you can't answer that because there are some memes that are like $5 million that could go to like 5 billion. So, I mean, I can't answer that. But I would say Pepe, since it got added to Coinbase and Robinhood, so it had this tremendous pump yesterday. I'd say that is a pretty good one. But it's already 10 billion market cap. It probably came down a little bit to like 8 or 9. I think in the bull run, when the FOMO really hits, that's going to hit hard. And then WIF now, since it's added on Coinbase, it's going to hit hard. A lot of the ones that are on Coinbase and Robinhood, they will hit hard. All right, Jose. You're out of here. What's your thoughts on older Ferraris 458? Would you buy a new one? 458 is a really nice one. I think that's going to hold its value because it's the last natural aspirated Ferrari. That's why so many people love it, and it has the newer body style. So yes, I would get it. The Lambo Aventador, it has the Lambo doors, yes, but I've heard it has a single clutch transmission, so it does not drive very well around the streets. I've never driven one, so I can't say, but a lot of people have said it does not drive well. What do you think about GFI? What is GFI again? Why does that sound so familiar? GFI. Oh, it's not my thing. RWA on Treasury, not my thing. Phil Moore. I only have 0.95 BTC and 20,000 Doge. How screwed am I? I want to get 20 million Pepe at least. Why are you screwed at all? That sounds pretty good. How do you think VeChain will do this cycle? I think it'll do mid. I think it's not going to be spectacular, but it'll do okay. Litecoin is a meme coin. No, Litecoin is a stable coin now. It's not a meme coin. Meme coin actually moves. NMCT. I need to stop doing leverage. The drop was 35 points away from my 50x leverage. I told you, just stop doing your 50x leverage, man. Even like a 10x leverage could get you liquidated. I don't know what you're doing with your 50 and 100x. That's just too much. Let's see. Lulian, I feel dumb for not listening to you when Bitcoin was under 25K. I could have bought 8 Bitcoin and my goal to 1 million would have almost been surely reached. Thanks for all. You know what? It's okay. We all make the same mistake. But yeah, under 25K, you could have almost bought 8. Now, you know, you're buying almost half that, right? But it's still not too late. This is just how it always is. You live and you learn. You pick yourself back up, and then you move forward. That's the only thing we could do in life, right? Everyone falls. It's how we get back up. It really is. All right. Radu is out of here. What do you think about Ondo tokenizing the stock market? It's not. It's tokenizing treasury yield. So, yeah, not something I look forward to, or not something. It already done that. It's not something that I like. You know, I'm going to put up a poll here. My 100K party here. Let's do a poll. Okay. All right, put a poll up. You guys let me know, honestly, if you would attend. I know a lot of you guys are not in the US. Thoughts on Wild Metaverse coin with a great team. Honestly, metaverses are not hot at all. So until gaming picks up a little bit and proves that, you know, they could do well this cycle, I would. And metaverses are their own niche. They're not even games, really. They're just like metaverses. And the other ones, like Decentraland and Sandbox, they have done horribly, horribly. So Deputy Dog, I agree with you. Rich, look at the question. Look at the poll. Would you mind changing? Would your mind change on when they announce their tokenized stock market? It depends. If they tokenize, so I'm from the U.S. So if they start tokenizing like stocks from other countries that I cannot buy, like for example, like Samsung or something, right? I can see value in that. But like right now, if they're just tokenizing, like say Tesla or something that I could buy already, then it does not interest me, right? But I could see the value of what that brings. So yeah, yes. Free speech. George, $15,000 worth of Jupiter disappeared off my Phantom wallet. That doesn't seem likely. You either spent it or you got hacked or it's a glitch. Refresh it. There's no way it just disappeared. Maybe you try to buy something and it's still sitting in queue. Michael, I was in IT before. Peter, I sold cars as like an extra way. That's not my full-time job. That was just an extra way to make some side cash. I was just flipping cars on the side, which you could still do. Anyone can do. It's actually pretty easy to flip cars on the side. You could just go on Facebook Marketplace. You could just like negotiate and haggle with people, buy their cars for cheap, and then just flip them. Like if you had the time, you could flip one car per day. Like if you did that, you can make $1,000 a day by flipping a car a day. I know that seems ludicrous, but if you tried hard enough, you could. Because I was doing that before. How do you think about gaming in general cycle? You know, I've noticed some games come back to life a little bit. You know, I'm close with Wagman Games and DFK. Both ticked up. Vulcan, they all ticked up a little bit. So obviously a little bit more enthusiasm as the market picks up. But overall, games have been quite weak, and gaming chains overall haven't moved that much. But you know, I think they'll pick up. I think they'll pick up. You should give FAC a second look. What is it, a meme coin? Flying Avocado Cat? Come on. I can't take that thing seriously. It's such a stupid name. It's a really bad name that I can't take seriously. And it's on ETH. I can't take any memes on ETH seriously too. If you want a meme to blow up, it's got to be on Solana. ETH memes don't blow up. It's all about Solana these days, guys. Just forget about anything on Ethereum. There's nothing on Ethereum that is hot these days. Nothing. No DeFi projects, no dApps, no games. It's all Solana if you guys haven't figured it out. Memes as well. It's all Solana. Yeah, Pepe is the only exception because they got lucky. They got lucky because they're the first. They kind of kicked off the meme revolution back in 2022 or 2023. But that's about it. Base, nothing besides just like Brett on base got lucky because Solana has problems. If Solana didn't have problems, Brett would have never existed. You just have that one. It just, that was it. Doge is not on ETH, Dave. Doge is its own chain. Would you buy HBAR? I'm not that fan. I'm not big of a fan. I'm not a big fan of HBAR. I don't know if there's any good dApps besides Carotid Combat running on HBAR. I don't know of anything else that's running on HBAR. I really don't. I don't know of any dApps that's on top of HBAR. I don't even know what their biggest DEX is. I don't even know. I don't even think they have any TVL. I don't think they have any. That's actually a good question. What's their... that's dirt low. 57 million for TVL. I guess their biggest one is Saucer Swap. Man, that's dirt low for such a major chain. So yeah, not a big Hedera guy. What about Turbo? It's been doing well. I have nothing against Turbo. Yeah, I have nothing against them. Created by AI. They have a really good community, so I have nothing against them. Conan. Thank you. A whale spent 2.7 million worth of SOL and bought Whiff and Bonk. And then 1.57 million to buy Whiff. And then 1.1, yeah, to buy Bonk. That's a lot of money going into memes. Cynthia, I don't think I could afford Paris Hilton as the DJ. That would be very, very, very costly. Maybe if I got some huge sponsors. Have you been able to sleep since election? Yes, I sleep fine. I sleep fine. What do you think about the AI narrative? It's fine. Like, it hasn't changed my life all that much besides helping me generate some cool pictures for my thumbnails. Other than that, it hasn't really changed my life much. Isaac, welcome. Chit chat, you mentioned crypto winter might not happen due to ETFs. Can we compare it to gold ETF when it's introduced? Just give us an idea of whether 4-year cycle will be irrelevant for the coming years. Well, it's not the same because gold doesn't have a halving event. Gold doesn't have a mechanism where the inflation rate gets cut in half every 4 years. So that's why Bitcoin has a 4-year cycle, because of the halving event. It's programmed in by Satoshi. So it's, you can't really compare it to gold from that perspective. We have always had this phenomenon of a 4-year cycle, quite simply because of the halving event. And for whatever reason, retail investors, whales, whoever, made it so that after the halving event, it got really bullish, especially after the elections. And it could be because the traditional markets got really hot, money started flowing, and then people started investing in Bitcoin afterwards, right? And then for a year plus, Bitcoin went up, there was euphoria, and then the bubble burst, and it goes down for about 2 years. And then it starts over again. Then we have a halving event. Again, after elections, then, markets do well and the money flows in. So it could be just a coincidence that a halving year happens to fall on an election year every single time. And then we just pump because of the election pump, Maybe that's the case. Or retail investors timed it that way. Whatever the case, that's not the same anymore. It was always driven by retail investors back in the day. Now we are no longer being led by retail. We're led by institutions with billions and trillions of assets. They're going heavily into Bitcoin now. They are not just retail investors that have lettuce hands and that will just dump on any signs of trouble. They will be holding for a long, long time. They're taking up such large amount of the supply. That's where the super cycle really can become a reality after this cycle. I'm not saying we won't have corrections. We could still have like a 30% correction. We could still have a huge correction. But, that prolonged crypto winter of 2 years, I don't know. I have a hard time seeing that. We could have maybe a 30% correction where it takes like 6 months to recover, but then we recover and we keep on going. It could just disrupt the whole 4-year thing. And then charting and fractal patterns going forward could be very awkward because it's just not the same anymore after 2025 because we just don't have the same dips, and everything else. I could totally see that. These guys are just taking up too much of the supply and they're not going to stop. They already took 12% of the supply, I think. And it's only going to increase next year. 12% of supply is crazy. No, we don't need a halving clock. That's not what I meant. Bitcoin Treasury, that's why I know. Yeah, no, the ETFs don't have 12% yet, but they have 6%, which is quite a lot. 6% within 10 months is a lot. So you assume that they're accumulating at the same rate. By this time next year, they will have 12%. Accumulating 12% of the supply within such a short amount of time, man, and then you apply that over the course of the next 4 years, that 12% can turn into like a quarter at least, and if a quarter of the Bitcoin supply ain't being sold and miners are not selling, and then the US starts buying 5% for a strategic reserve, just think about it. That's an enormous amount. Plus the long-term holders, they're not selling. That's an enormous amount. And of course, Saylor's not going to sell. Saylor's up here and he's accumulating. He owns 1.33% of the supply too. So between Saylor and the ETFs, that's 7%. Yeah. Saylor and the ETFs own 7% of the supply. And then you add in the countries, that's like basically 10%. That's a whole lot. I mean, I just don't see us falling 80% ever again after this cycle. Dragon, look at my poll that's in the live chat. MB, welcome. New member. Man, I can't wait for the Mike Tyson fight tomorrow. I really, 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 really want Tyson to win. Really. Doge worth holding past 40 cents? Yes. I mean, Doge was at 70 cents last cycle. Top when Elon went on SNL. It's going to at least hit that. It's going to go higher than that for sure. At a very minimum, at least $1. But I think it's going to go way more than that. Way more than $1. No, I didn't bet on Tyson, but I don't do sports betting. It's not my thing. I gamble enough with crypto. I play with so much leverage. You know, like, you know, when you get really addicted to leverage, you get really addicted. Recently, I've been winning a lot, so that it pulled me in like hardcore now. So that's the problem. When you win, it actually pulls you in more. When you lose, you know, when you lose a lot, you're like, oh, F it, I'm done, right? But then the problem is when you start winning, then it pulls you in more. So like the last few days, I've been like on my phone and my computer, just like trading constantly. And I hate when I get into that mode because then I just end up not doing anything. I'm just like constantly looking at my screen. BlackRock got approved for AVAX ETF. I don't believe that. I think you're just making that up. There's no AVAX ETF application. What's your consensus on this retrace? Will we get in 70s before end of year? No. No, what retrace, man? We're at 89,000. What are you talking about? This is the same point we were at yesterday. Where do people get these like crazy like numbers? What makes you think we're gonna retrace to 70? Who told you that? That's what I'd like to know. What makes you think we're going to retrace the 70 lockdown? We're at $89,000. What makes you think we're going to retrace down all the way to like maybe 73 or 70 or wherever you think it is? Lockdown says, I don't think that I'm coping. My liquidation was 200 above the dip at 74.6. Okay. If you're afraid of being liquidated, don't try to scare everyone else by asking questions like that. Okay. You ask questions for the masses. Don't ask specific questions about your liquidation, because I'm not your financial advisor. I don't have a magic 8-ball that tells you whether or not you're going to get liquidated. All right, on that note, it's been an hour, so it's time to get off. Anyways, guys, today was kind of frustrating. Live chat was pretty frustrating, to say the least. Stay strong, my friends. I'll see you guys tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and let's see where Bitcoin is then. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.